Hi, today we'll learn about rational markets and why some ecosystems succeed while others fail. I'm Manu Ganji. I'm an entrepreneur from India. I'm an electronics and instrumentation engineer. Over the last 7 years, I've worked in 5 different startups. I'm obsessed with probability and try to explain the things from a probabilistic approach. What is a rational market? Uh, a market where most of the business transactions happen for rational reasons, based purely on how good the product or service is rather than external factors. To give you a contrasting example, let me go back to 2016 when we were trying to buy aluminum extrusion service in India. Um, we are an, we are a very good engineering team. We know what we want. We had the designs in place, how much quantity we needed. We also had the money to pay for the service. In a rational market, this is all you would need to finish the transaction. But when we started calling the vendors who offer this kind of service, we faced a really different set of criteria that we need to meet. Some of them didn't reply or return our calls because we are a small company and they didn't want to deal with small companies. And some of them because we don't speak their language. Some could guess our caste from our names and they didn't want to reply. Some of them were expecting alignment with their political views. When they didn't see that in our first meetings, they didn't follow through the next meetings. So, this way, addressing these concerns is really not the job of an entrepreneur. And at, to comply with these requirements, it took us a lot of time. First of all, to understand what's going on, and that this is how they want us to see it. They want to see us, and addressing those concerns. It took us 6 months to find the first vendor who would take us on board and deliver the service. Normally, this is how, and after a few transactions, we figured out the approach and we could make it work. But it took us a lot of time. We had to do this not just for aluminum, we had to do this for packaging, logistics, accounting, banking, design services for our website and brochures. In every step, we face the same scenario, and and this is the pattern you see. You come up with an idea, and then you approach the ecosystem, and you get a really broken support for really irrational reasons. And what you end up is a subpar product or outcome, which ends up disappointing your customer. This this lowers your confidence, and next time you aim for lower, and you try to do the same thing again, and this cycle repeats. You get the same broken support, and the customer is again disappointed. Your confidence is even lower now, and this happens after a few cycles. You either start aiming for the bare minimum you can achieve in the market, or you decide to quit. And there is government in the background in all while all of this is happening, with real power to change things, but they don't want to do it because all of this is happening because there is no strong legal support for either the buyer or the vendor. When they don't have legal support, they resort to these heuristics to decide who they can partner with. Because if I don't keep up my end of the bargain, they don't have any way to get back to me or get back their due, um, you know, in the agreement. So, but as an entrepreneur, as an agent playing in this ecosystem, uh, your confidence is really broken as you interact with all these different types of vendors. There was one incident when we had to ship something between two places that are 12 hours apart in driving, but it took us 23 days to get from one point to the other. And this is just one example. This happened many times with many different things like our machines or packaging or vendors and many other areas. In a rational, in a regular ecosystem, startup. This is how the funnel would be. There are startup ideas are generated by random people, just pure randomness, and some of them will end up succeeding and becoming viable businesses. But when you bring irrationality into the picture, irrationality kills some of those ideas before they even start, make an attempt, and that's going to be really costly for the total survival rate. Because when you cannot get a service that you need for your startup, there is no way you will even go ahead and make it into a business. Just and that too for reasons like your caste or your religion or your political ideology or your other kinds of orientations or something. These are many. There are so after seeing this happen so many times in the last 2 years, I've come up with a few heuristics to tell a broken ecosystem. You know, government jobs cannot be the most exciting jobs in any market, but when they are the most exciting jobs in a market, then that tells something about the irrationality. Because government is the only player who can get things done by sheer power invested in them. And there are too many logos designed for free. What I mean by this is there are many designers working for really low paying jobs, and generally these kind of soft skills are put on the back burner, or not just soft skills, like any skill that's irrationally low in price. And one next thing is when I meet so many people in this market who all mention or make sure to mention that they know this big politician or bureaucrat. In a rational market, this should not matter. In a rational market, anyone should be able to run a business and be successful as long as they have good idea and also are willing to work hard to keep up their commitment. But when so many people believe that knowing a big name guy is important for their success, and points out that's a strong point for irrationality. And we once actually bought a measuring scale that measures wrong. And the fact that this business is still alive and not shut down says something. And I know of many companies with 1,000+ employees where like too many, like nearly 90% of the workforce is from one community, one ethnic group. It pure ran just by pure probability, you cannot hope to achieve such a nice mix from just one ethnic group in any company, in any market. But if this is happening, then that can only point the bias. And if this is done by so many companies in a market, then that means they are relying on such biases to make up for lack of ecosystem support or make up for the irrationality in the ecosystem. I know there are many women founders who receive calls from the customers and other vendors or people, and they are asked for the sir who makes the final call. They are, it is assumed that a woman can't be a founder or cannot be the owner of a place, and and that and I also once we dropped down at the Surat railway station, and we were looking for a room to stay for a few hours. And we saw this lodge that rents out rooms only to vegetarian Hindus. The fact that such an irrationally run business is still alive, is still making money, points out a lot to the irrationality of the place. These are just some heuristics that I found, but what I'm saying is, uh, it it's not hard to figure out the irrationality, and it's not hard to fix things. Why is it important for the ecosystem? Once the ecosystem weeds out some of the irrationality, it creates more success rate for the startups. And that success inspires other companies to move in, or other founders to step up and try out new ideas. It's a virtuous cycle. Success breeds success breeds more success. But the governments today have to realize that great players, great companies have many options. If they don't step up and fix their ecosystem, they can move elsewhere. And there are plenty of places welcoming great entrepreneurs, and it's time that governments across the world realize this. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. And this is my mail ID if you want to have a conversation. Thank you.